Ingrid, welcome back on for number 2.
I'm
Excited to
so
have you on.
excited to be here. I'm so excited to talk to you guys and thank you for having me.
Oh, absolute pleasure. And I've been wanting to have you back on the show for a little while, but there's been so much that's going on in your life, and that's what we're going to catch up on
I
today.
think in everyone's life, really.
Oh, yeah, I know. Across the last year and a half,
Yeah.
it's just been nuts, isn't it?
Yes.
So we have a few exciting things that I want to speak about and pick your brains and go through. And it's going to be a little bit of a windy path today for us on this little podcast journey. So firstly, I wanted to ask you about your new podcast that's coming out. And that's a very different idea for the audience. So we'll dive into that. Then obviously health is one of our, mutual passions and interests and life takeovers. So we'll talk into that as well. And then into your amazing children's books that you've written and captivated me. So I'm really hanging to hear about how that came about and where you're headed from here as well at the end. So let's dive into the podcast and really the last sort of, like you said to me before, it's been over 4 years. Has it been in this sort of, process going towards this podcast?
Yeah, it was a lot. So everyone that's listening, this podcast is a little dark, but trust me, it ties up to health because it's one of the things that propelled me into the health world. But this podcast is it's called To Live and Die in LA, and it's coming out March 27th. And it's been a process of 4 years working on this. It's a murder investigation, and it's still ongoing. So there's still a lot of things that I can't say until the podcast comes out. But yeah, it's I'm so fine. I'm happy that I'm able to talk about it with you because it's been something that I've been holding on for so long. And it's I'm happy that it's coming out into the light.
Yeah. So how did you guys come up, and if you can speak about who also is involved in the podcast and who else is going to be on there, how did you come up with the idea to put something like this into a podcast? I would say it's a very unique idea.
Yeah, so there's actually this is going to be season 2. This is our season 1. So the season 1 is, I want to say, is the sequel to what happened to us. The season 2 is the prequel. So it's so what happened is 4 years ago, and this is way before I got into health. And the reason I got into health is because I became very, very sick with Crohn's disease. And I know that there's a huge link between the gut and stress, right? And so that was being part of this investigation. Really, it was so stressful to me. I wasn't sleeping at night. It kept me up every single night because, it was something that, once I found the truth and became involved, how do you walk away from it? So 4 years ago, I was, one of the things that I loved doing was hiking every single day around Malibu. And so I knew all the hiking spots. And so one day I came across a missing girls poster, and I looked at it, and something about the girl and the story behind what happened to her really called me. I mean, people go missing every single day in LA, but for some reason, this story really, really spoke to me. She went missing down the street from my house, and Malibu is considered a very, very safe area. So for someone to go missing, it's very unlikely and was very concerning. I have a child, he's 6 years old. And I said to myself, wow, this could be any of us. And, if I could do anything to help the family. So I reached out to the family, and I told them, hey, you guys are not from Malibu, but I know Malibu very well. So let me know, give me the list of the places that you've already looked into. I get a reply and they say, we haven't searched anything yet. And it's been, when I got involved, had been a month and a half that the girl went missing. To me, that was very weird. But I said, okay, let me start searching. And so I started a friendship with the people behind that Facebook page of the girl that went missing. Her name is Elaine Park. So at the time I was married, and my ex-husband is a Rolling Stone journalist. And so I was like, hey, Neil Strauss, hey, Neil, like this, let's really help the family. Maybe you could write something on Rolling Stone. Maybe we could bring awareness. And at the time he was coming out with a book, and he's like, I have no time for this, but I'll come and see what I can do. And also one of my friends, who is the guitarist for the band Incubus, Mike Eisinger, got involved as well. And so we got together and decided, well, let's do something for the family. Let's see what we can do. I mean, the story takes, when I met with the investigator, he had told me, hey, I already looked into her computer. There's nothing I could find. And there's nothing I saw that really caught my attention in there. And I told him, hey, listen, why don't you give me a clone of her computer? Maybe I could find something. And so I took my computer. My computer has more storage, and he cloned the computer onto mine, and voila, when I got the computer, I started getting more messages because I had more bandwidth. And that's when I realized, oh no, there's something wrong. That the person that we are talking to, the person that we're helping, has something to do with the disappearance. So now we're here. How do you turn from that? How do you walk away from that when you have that information?
Yeah.
So we decided to, instead of, we decided to gather more evidence, because at the time we're like, okay, we go to the police, they're going to be like, okay, who are you?
Yeah, what are you guys doing here?
What are you guys doing? And why are you so interested in someone that you've never met before? Yeah. And so we decided, okay, let's just gather as much as we can. We'll package it into a nice little package and we'll present it to them. When we presented the evidence that we had, they looked at us and said, look, it's 4 of us that is working robbery and homicide. We don't have the capacity and the bandwidth to help with this at this point, but your hunch is right on point. We kind of suspected that. We just don't have the evidence that you have. And because this is a missing adult, she was 20 years old when she went missing. For all we know, she could be in Mexico. She could be in other places where she doesn't want to be found. So we cannot move this from a missing person to a homicide, because we don't have a body and she could appear tomorrow. And so to me and to us, it was very discouraging, because if someone goes missing in your family, you want the police to help as much as they can. You want all the resources. You want everyone, boots on the ground, to search, but nobody was doing anything because everybody was sitting around waiting for this person to come back. And so they basically said, bring us a body. and then maybe we could do something about that. And so it was so discouraging. I went into the LAPD website. The LAPD website, still today, you could go on the website and it says on the missing person section, if someone goes missing, you could wait 48 hours for them to come back. And if they don't come back, you could hire a private investigator. And if you don't have the money to hire a private investigator, you could get a hold of the Salvation Army. They might be able to help. So what is the Salvation Army going to do, really? And so if someone goes missing, you really have 24 to 48 hours to make a timeline, find information, get the cameras. The cameras are really, really important. We found that after a week and a half, a lot of the footage that a lot of these liquor stores, a lot of these gas stations had were completely gone.
Whoa.
And so we couldn't get, a lot of the stuff that we could have probably found out is no longer available. And so that's one of the things that really really killed me to know, because a lot of families are waiting for the police to do something, but it's just, it's not their
It's so
job. They're not going to put money into this. It's very, very expensive to get a private investigator. It's at least $10,000 a month. A lot of families cannot afford that. So what do you do when someone goes missing?
That's ridiculous.
And so we couldn't turn an eye on that, and we continued and continued. We built up a friendship with this person, and it's something that turned very dark very quickly. And like I said, I couldn't sleep at night. I was very stressed out. And here I am, like I said to you earlier, I learned that everybody has a dark side. And when you play that role constantly every single day to tap into your dark side, you could get sick.
Yeah.
And I learned how to be very manipulative. I learned how to be very, I learned how to lie very well, because I had to keep up this friendship with this person. And so just imagine, like, looking at the eyes of this person and knowing what they did. And you're just like, so you want to come to Thanksgiving? Because we needed to get more information.
Wow, literally the subconscious, the unconscious, the soul knows the truth, and so it's literally crying. That's, yeah, wow.
Yeah, so it got a lot of attention from the media, but it started to die out after a month and a half, where this case started to go cold. And then there's information that we couldn't say, because we have the information, but we couldn't really say anything, because that would ruin our friendship with this person.
Yeah.
We didn't want her to cut us off, because you could just sit her in a room and she would tell you just the craziest stuff. And I mean, it became very, very dark very quickly.
Wow.
And so, yeah, this went on for 4 years, and and it's still going. Really, it's still going. And right in the middle of it, I said to my team, I said, guys, I cannot do this anymore. I'm sick. I just got diagnosed with Crohn's. I'm very, very stressed out. I'm not sleeping very well. I'm not eating very well. This is when I started to see the link in between stress, not eating well, not sleeping well.
Yeah.
And it took a toll on my gut, really. And so that's when I started to focus more on health, and kind of left. And I stepped away from it. I mean, I was still helping, but at the same time, I was like, okay, I gotta take priority on my life first, because when you're in an airplane and they tell you if the plane's about to go down, there's the oxygen mask that you have to put on first, and then you help the people around you. You cannot just, put the mask on other people and then you not having a mask on yourself.
Yeah.
You got to help yourself first so you could help others.
Wow, that's incredible. And I can't help to think, like that there was a draw to this particular, it caught your eye. You knew that there was a path for you to be on, and then to lead you into this health space, to bring out further information and to help more and more people. So yeah, it's a winding path for you. Wow.
Yeah. And it was I mean, I'm just mind blown that how many people go missing, and how many people they could have been found very early on, but nothing gets done. And so there's not a lot of websites that really guide and help families, like, okay, this is step 1, this is what you do. Step 2, do not wait for the police. These are the things that you could do on your own. But a lot of families are like, okay, I don't want to get in the middle of the police work. I'm going to let them handle it. But at the same time, it's like, well,
not much is happening.
There's not much they're doing. There's not much. And then, this was a very big, large a police department. This is one of the biggest ones in LA. And for them to say, look, we're basically underfunded. It's only 4 of us working robbery and homicide.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So this season 2, you guys are bringing out end of May.
Mhm.
Now, is there what's looking forward for this? Are you guys continuing? Is there more to come? Is there more investigations you're getting involved in? Is there anything else you can sort of say about
No. I mean, I could get my private investigation license now. Everyone's like, you should, do. I mean, I'm like, no. If I
that?
want another autoimmune disease, I will become a private investigator. You take this stuff very personally. I
Yeah.
mean, I took this very personally, even though I've never met this girl, but going through her computer, looking at her Snapchats, like talking to her best friends, and really, I mean, I got to know her in a deep level. You get to see everything that they left behind, their aspirations, their diaries, and it's like, wow, like I took it very, very personal. And then I started having dreams where she would come into my dreams and she would tell me things where like it would be, you can't walk away from this. And so I could just imagine, hats off to the ones that the investigators are actually, really put their lives on the line, and they really stick to long investigations like this. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of mental work
Yeah.
that takes place.
It's very selfless work. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say, so a lot of them will see these sorts of things, just like nurses, doctors, you get conditioned over time to sort of separate yourself a little bit more, but because you dived straight in with no prior experience, it was all there. It was all there in front of you. So it sort of seeped straight into your soul, and it took off. And that's where health conditions, obviously presented, because there was no separation. It was you taking it all on all the time with no other experience on how to separate or how to get away from that and how to live, you and that. And yeah, I can imagine that's the learning experience they all go through at the start, which would be super hard.
Yeah, and these people have how many files are on their desks, right? So they have to work. I mean, for us, it was a full-time job.
Wow.
I remember we gathered up and we started to, as a joke, calling ourselves Scooby Doos. We were calling people. We were calling insurance companies. We were calling, following every single lead that was on the tip line. Everything. And so it was a full-time job. I remember going to my friend's house in the morning and then not leaving until 1 or 2 in the morning.
Wow.
We had this phone calls, files, and just like you see in movies when they have a board with like the red line and suspects on the wall. We had that. It's crazy. We had we started to follow up with all these tips, and we had like, I don't know, 20 suspects. And at some point we started to eliminate all of them. And because we're just trying to prove everyone innocent. That was the goal. It's like prove everybody innocent. So we could just take them off the pipeline.
Yeah.
And so we ended up with one suspect where like we couldn't prove this person innocent. We still can't. Everything that was given to them was they destroyed. Every piece of evidence was destroyed by them.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So how are you feeling about it all now? Now it's sort of coming out. Now you're able to speak a little bit more about it. Are you sort of ready to leave it behind? Is it that point, or is it still there, still knocking away at you?
What we have is a lot of circumstantial evidence. So a lot of this stuff, they're basically looking for the smoking gun. We don't have the smoking gun. We don't have, the girl's still missing. We don't have the girl.
Yeah.
And so, you can't really leave this behind because she becomes a part. I mean, she became a part of me. It's something that I still think about every single day.
Yeah.
And so, hopefully with this podcast, there's people that know something that will say something. The prequel to this podcast, season 1, it's part of in the middle of our investigation. There was another girl that went missing, and they reached out to the private investigator that was working with us, and they said, look, my daughter's missing, help us find what was her name, Shabani. And so, so Neil got on that, and within a week, he was able to solve the whole thing. The season one is so crazy because it goes from the girl went missing, and at the end of the season, I don't want to give it away, so everybody close your ears if you are want to listen to season one. But at the end, the boyfriend is the one that killed her and then shot himself.
Wow.
Within a period of a week.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
Neil, you could hear that in the podcast, Neil's like knocking on his door. Neil's trying to find, the clues left behind and really doing dangerous stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, he got into a police pursuit and then he got shot by the police. So it was a police suicide.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So Neil, journalist, author, turned into private investigator.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why we're not married anymore. I mean, he's still my best friend.
Yeah.
But he's at heart, he's he's a journalist that, sometimes you have to go on the dark side to find, answers. And so he loves going into that side a little bit too much.
I would say that's a common trend among journalists. Would you say?
Yeah, well, the passionate ones, yes.
Yeah,
passionate ones. Oh, he's very, very passionate. He's very, very good at what he does. I mean, he's very, very good. And so that's why, I needed, when I found this information, I said, you need to help, because without you, we can't, there's no investigation.
Yeah, he was a person to lead it. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And so he does an incredible job hosting. We already have 500,000 downloads. It hasn't even come out yet. Oof. Which is incredible.
Well done. That's amazing. Wow. So from that point, obviously you've learned a lot in that process, and Crohn's, unfortunately, and then led you down into the path of health and finding out where you can go there and heal yourself naturally, and you did that. And anyone going back for our first podcast can hear a lot of that story and how you got to that point, which is incredible in itself. So now, where are you in the health space? And we were having a little brief conversation before we started here, and talking about the technologies and the biohacking space, and it's all wonderful. It's all fantastic, and I love all the technologies, and I get very excited about all of this. And we were talking about the affordability of some of these technologies, and they are fantastic. And sometimes they can actually take away from the truth, or take away from the magic of health, or the simplicities of things like music or walking or sunshine, and the natural aspects that we sort of forget about because we get taken into the technologies. So, well,
we're actually addicted to comfortability. Right? We're addicted to comfort. And so if we could cut time and not do something because there's a new gadget that will bring, I don't know, the infrared from the sun into your home, why not? Right? Or if there's like a new gadget that will give you the EMFs that are imprinted in happiness, why not buy that? But at the same time, like I was telling you, I love all this new technology, but it does take away from the actual what actually works in nature, what is free in nature, what you could do. And so a lot of the times we try to connect with nature and disconnect at the same time. Right? And so you could find I do have an infrared sauna in my house, but I find myself going outside more than using my infrared sauna. Infrared sauna is great. You're sweating and you could be there for, 40 minutes, read a book, and then, take a shower and then continue with your day. But there's nothing more powerful than the sun. You got the full spectrum, right? Not only infrared, but you have everything that it's just packaged perfectly for you by Mother Nature. But we're not taking advantage of that. We're actually scared of the sun. Now that not that we're heading into summer, everyone's lathering up with SPF, right? Covering from the sun, wearing big hats, wear a lot of clothes. And so that's one of the issues why most people have, and most of us have, a deficiency in vitamin D, because we're so scared of the sun. And so think about it. Most of the times where we get skin cancer is from places where we cover ourselves up, right? Breast cancer, it's always covered up, right? We don't put our breast out in the sun.
Yeah.
But why are we getting breast cancer?
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Testicular cancer. Men don't walk around with their genitals out, but why are they getting testicular cancer?
Well, they're starting to do the, well, should I be rude? Butthole sunning. Isn't that a thing now?
Yes. And it's also really good for, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of men with testosterone issues. And so it's the sun. Go out in the sun. Get your manly parts out in the sun. You could do it for 10, 15 minutes a day. It doesn't take long. It does. And then also, if you live in an apartment or a place where there's a lot of people outside, there's I can't remember the name of this company, but they make swimsuits that are mesh. It's like a mesh, and it allows you to tan even with clothes on.
Ooh, nice.
And I forget the name. I'll remember, and then maybe we could put it in the notes. But it's Kaniki. I think it's Kaniki. But it's mesh. So if
there's like a t-shirt or tops or pants.
Yeah, it's mesh, but it has a lot of heavy designs, so you can't see.
So we're not fully naked, really. You can't see.
Yes. The designs are covering you, but yeah, it's great. So there's like simple hacks that you can do that. I mean, don't disconnect from nature. All this stuff that I mean, an infrared sauna, what was it, like $6,000? Like you can do it with the sun. You want some infrared during sunrise and during sunset. That's when there's the most amount of infrared coming from the sun. You could see it in the sky. The sky turns red.
Yeah.
And so those minutes when you could have some peace, look at the sunset and really bathe into the infrareds of the sun. Grounding stuff, it's become very popular as well. You get grounding blankets, right? You get grounding mats. Those are very, very expensive. They're in the $5,000 for a grounding mat. Yeah. Go outside, lay in the grass, sit by the trees. The trees are really good for grounding, especially pine trees. If you live close to the ocean is the grounding, king. The mother lode of grounding.
Yeah. And I think when we dive into the health space, we sort of go for everything and we get really excited and we want everything. And then when you realize, you step back and you think, well, it's just too simple. How can we just only need sun, water, good food, and the ground, and good relationships? And that's really at the base core needs of what we need as humans. That's it. So when you think about all these technologies, they're really a way to segue us away from it, or have an excuse to actually be living an unnatural industrial age where we're 9 to 5, can't see the sun, can't get out into the earth because we're working at a desk or in an office building, all these sorts of things, and away from the sun. And then we've got the experts. I have this in my clinic every day, telling.
Oh, I can't hear you.
There we go. Is that back on?
Yeah, you cut off and then you have the experts.
And then we have the experts that tell my clients, and this happens every day, that we can have a vitamin D tablet instead of going out to the sun. It's much safer. What? Excuse me?
You cannot put the sun. You cannot put the sun in a bottle. You need the whole. Remember in the 90s? I think actually recently, where people were so scared of cholesterol, but cholesterol is the mother of all hormones.
Well, and so cholesterol and salt. Like, are you kidding me? We're still there, are we?
I mean, it's
like, gosh.
Yes, and so hey, look. Vitamin D it's hormone that is made with cholesterol and it gets converted into cholesterol by your liver. And so you need to have those you need to allow the body to do that. right? Not just put something in your body that, you know, who knows where it's made. Like most of it comes from a lab in China.
Exactly, with other bits attached to it.
Exactly. And so same thing with vitamin C. I mean, vitamin C is what you're taking is just ascorbic acid, and vitamin C is it's a, how do you call it? It's a family. It's a whole spectrum, not just ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is just 5% of what vitamin C is. Even St. Georgie, the man that discovered vitamin C, says in his papers, he says, look, ascorbic acid doesn't cure scurvy. It's the different things that are in vitamin C, the different, he calls it, what does he call it? It's vitamin, it's rutin, there's other different, there's other different things that allow vitamin C to work in harmony. And so he says, do not do vitamin C just for ascorbic acid. And he talks about doing paprika. And paprika is very effective because there's so much vitamin C in it. He says Hungarian vitamin C is the one that actually cures scurvy.
Wow.
I mean, Hungarian paprika is the one that cures scurvy.
Yeah.
And so
it makes so much sense though.
Yeah. So when you take ascorbic acid, your body is actually trying to, it's going to pull all the vitamins that it needs to be able to make it work. It's going to make the full spectrum vitamin C in your body. But if you're deficient in rutin, if you're deficient in choline is also part of vitamin C, and deficient in other flavonoids, flavonoid P, flavonoid J, then they're going to have an issue. So, I mean, take it from, and that's why vitamin C is, it's available during winter time, right? During, you get lemons, you get oranges. Just take absolutely. It's more efficient. You take one orange, that's enough.
Yeah. You know, money-making industries and the pharmaceuticals and the nutraceuticals, all the companies that are producing these things, you know, you have to always have the context of money-making behind these things, and you can always try and source these things in nature within you know, reasonable limits. Sometimes the soils aren't optimal. Sometimes we don't have the source of the foods that we really need, or the way they're kept and stored. You know, sometimes we have reduced ability to get the nutrients in that way, or our bodies are not yet ready to take that in because of illness or sickness. So sometimes support's needed, but there's still that context of what the quality is of everything that we are taking, and where can you get it naturally if that's the better source of it, and always have that first.
And you have to always think about the sourcing, right? So, I mean, ascorbic acid is also made in, most of it comes from Chinese labs, and it's extracted from GMO corn. So where is your vitamin C coming from? Would you rather have it from an orange, or would you rather have it from a GMO'd corn? I don't even know where that comes from.
Absolutely. And I love that you've researched so much about this and been involved in this so much, from the sourcing to the quality to what's actually contaminated in these products, in these, you know, health food or wellness products. It's really eye-opening to see some of those differences, and even things like, you know, the herbs and all of the resveratrols, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. So what's your latest thing that you've been discovering, researching, or into in that space?
What I'm more into now is less is more.
Love it. Simplicity.
So I've been working on letting go of a lot of things. I call it your orbital junk, because a lot of people focus on nutrition, right? As like, okay, nutrition, it is a part of health, but it's just one piece of it, just like vitamin C, right? It's just one piece of the spectrum. I call it what's around your orbital junk, the things around you, your relationships. They could bring a lot of stress to you, and it doesn't matter what you're eating or if you're exercising every single day. If you have a toxic relationship, doesn't matter. It's going to really create havoc in your body. Also, all the lotions that you're putting around you, all these aerosols, all this pollution, all these things around you that are adding into the that accumulate in your body. So it's not just one thing. People think it's just one thing. It's a series of things that start to accumulate little by little in your body, from the shampoo that you're using, the toothpaste that you're using every single day. Just think about that. Think about it. Just look at the Colgate and the ingredients in Colgate. It's just disgusting. But you're brushing your teeth every single day with that. Look at, I tell people, go to ewg.org and type in your zip code, and you'll see all the disgusting things that are in your tap water. You're drinking that every single day. Even if you do have a filter at home, you're showering with that. You are every time you shower, it's like if you're consuming eight glasses of water, because your skin absorbs. You're cooking with that, right? You're making soup. Oh, I'm just gonna grab water from the tap. So just think about all these things that are accumulating in your body, all these chemicals. And these are all poisons. And what is the definition of a poison? A poison is anything beyond that, what we need is a poison. It doesn't matter. It could be power. It could be laziness. It could be ego, ambition. It could be vanity, fear. But if you have something too much of that one thing, it is a poison. Right? So it's the orbital junk around you that we need to be really aware of. And I know it could be really, this could be stressful, just talking about this, of all this stuff that could hurt you. It could be stressful, but if you start cutting down and really, really be mindful of all the ingredients, because most people don't pay attention to the back labels, really, what's in it, right? A lot of the stuff that we cannot pronounce. And again, we do it because it's comfortability. We don't, it's packaged and it's ready to go. But at the same time, it's stuff. Comfortability is the stuff that it's really creating. It could create some issues.
And cutting back just on the things that you start to be aware of makes massive differences already.
So I try to, so where can I get all these supplements that I used to take, I don't know how many supplements a day, 30 different supplements a day. So now it's like, no, I could get all this stuff from natural foods. And if it's also, this is the one thing that I've also learned, that you could create some allergies in you if you constantly have the same, it doesn't matter if it's healthy. If you have the same foods every single day, that could also, we need diversity. Just so you know, our gut, our microbiome needs diversity. It needs different foods, not just the same foods every single day. And that's what happens when you walk into the store. Unfortunately, the grocery stores don't carry a lot of diversity. We're eating the same stuff every day. So if you're thinking about if you think about your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's probably the same things that you're eating, right? Absolutely. We pick broccoli, but and cauliflower as a staple, but they're in the same family. They're just basically eating the same thing. And so doing diversity, and I know, we are in different parts of the world where stuff doesn't really grow, but now, again, we have access to different stuff. We have access to, you could buy, I do believe in powders when it comes to, when it's sourced properly. You could get some really powerful powders, something that, food that has been dehydrated. And if it's been dried up properly, then you could get some really potent flavonoids. If you're trying to make a smoothie, just throw it into a smoothie, really. And so you could really diversify your gut. But we need to learn how to diversify. The number one source of fiber in America, do you know what it is?
Cheerios? I don't know.
It's bread. That's where people get most of their fiber from. And then, do you know the number one source of antioxidants in the country? Probably the whole world.
I would say the things that are put into food.
No, it's coffee.
Yeah, right.
That's the number one source of antioxidants, and that's just one of thousands of flavonoids. When
Yeah.
I say antioxidants, we're talking about a family of flavonoids. What makes the color, the different pigments in food are these specific flavonoids.
Yeah.
And that when they combine, so like a blueberry could have hundreds of flavonoids that make the color purple. So it's not just one flavonoid that has a color purple. It's a combination when you're painting something, right? So it's a combination of red pigments with clear pigments that will bring up the purple pigments. It's like a beautiful painting. But you have all these incredible flavonoids that we don't really take in, because also most of these flavonoids exist in vegetables, but they're more prominent in fruits. And so but now we're in this age again, this kills me, that we're so scared of sugar. Right? Just like in the 90s, people were so scared of fats, right? Remember when fats were so bad, and there was like a surge of fat-free mayo, fat-free butters. Like, what is that, right? But people were so scared of fat. Now it's like fat, fat, fat. So it's the same thing with sugar, where people are so scared of sugar, but it's also it's part of the spectrum of I mean, that's how antioxidants become more potent with these healthy sugars that we need.
And it's the healthy sugars, it's the forms that people don't understand, and they stay away from the broad groups of everything because there's no understanding of what they need to have as a base. Doing further education for myself, learning about basic tastes that come through children. The first most prominent taste of children is sweet. And so by giving them fruits, obviously that's why children thrive on fruits. But when we feed that sweetness with other processed foods that have all the chemicals and additives along with it, then we blame it on the fruits. And it's something that I am still navigating in my practice, where trying to explain to people where that sugar is coming from in their diet and why it's bad in certain forms and not in other forms, and how it's taken into the body, what it's attached to, the fibers it's attached to, and the release of it all impacts the way that our body deals with that sugar, and the stress on top of that as well that we're dealing with on the outside.
Exactly. The more stressed out you are, the more sugar your body's going to need. That's because your brain needs, I mean, it's the number one source of energy in the body. I don't care, I mean, I get a lot of in the keto community, they don't like this, but it is. I mean, that's why. And then when I look at children, we need to learn as adults. We need to learn from children, because even their body posture, when they look at them, you look at them, they're squatting. That is the proper way to sit down, not sitting. These chairs are gonna really ruin your back, and they cut off oxygen when you're sitting all day long. When you look at kids, they naturally squat. They don't really sit, and they're always moving. They're always moving their bodies. Even if they're sitting, playing Legos, their bodies are constantly moving. And so I have a friend who is an expert in alignment, and that's one of the things he taught me. Always look at children and their postures, because they're doing it the right way. We need to become more like children. So yes, because children crave sugar, is because also 30% of the sugar that they take in goes into the brain for development. The brain at that age needs more sugar to develop, to grow. That is a fact. And I mean, like, a lot of parents are, the common link is like, oh, well, no, sugar drives them crazy. Yes, because you're giving them the wrong types of sugar. Most of the time, all these candies have colors, artificial colors. And these artificial colors, if you look up red number 3 and yellow number 6 in the ingredients, there's blue number 2. All these artificial colors are the ones that create ADD and ADHD in children.
Absolutely. And I you see it firsthand. I had a mum come in the other day and seen her son 6 months ago, and she said, I'm sorry I haven't come back, but you've changed our lives. my son is now not what he used to be, and he had very severe ADHD, and
Mm-hmm.
no one had ever suggested to them over various health practitioners to change the diet. Changing the diet has changed her whole life. Family of 7 kids. She's like, I cannot believe the difference. I'm now cooking and now I'm making a business out of it. You see these things all the time. The power of changing, of just those additives, colorings in food and processed food. It's so powerful. We don't put enough.
And it's not only in candy. You see it in salmon. They add red color in salmon. They add colors in all the foods that we eat. And so all these foods are made of petroleum. They're really create a problem for a developing brain. And so just imagine we're eating so much petroleum. It's crazy in pharmaceuticals, in a lot of the supplements, in a lot of the ingredients in the food. It's just petroleum based. So just imagine eating that. It's gonna really there's no surprise why we're we're having an issue with guts, right?
And you got glyphosate.
And you have glyphosate, which adds another, ruins the liver, and people, that's another link. Now we're going back full circle. Glyphosate really stops cytochrome P450, which is needed to convert vitamin D, usable vitamin D, into the hormone that we need. Yeah. But when you're taking glyphosate is really good at destroying that enzyme.
Makes sense. It all makes sense to what we're dealing with, chronic health issues at the moment, and how we've gotten it so wrong in our medical system. So there's a long way to come, I think.
Yeah, and we put so much trust into these companies, but just remember that these companies need to make money.
Yeah.
And they cut a lot of corners, and it's very, very expensive to create a product that is pure. A lot of companies don't test their ingredients at all because it's very expensive. The FDA doesn't require for companies to test for glyphosate, even if it's organic. They don't test for that. Even if this farm doesn't use glyphosate, but it's also in the water. So if they're sharing land, or there's a farm that uses glyphosate, it goes into, it's an agricultural runoff, and then they're using that water and it goes into the food. Also, the FDA doesn't require for heavy metals to be tested. And it's also part of the water. That's why a lot of these supplements and all these products have an issue with lead and have an issue with thallium and other heavy metals that people don't really talk about. Most people talk about lead and mercury, but thallium and arsenic are huge, and aluminum. It's a huge issue. It's been linked to Alzheimer's disease, and that stuff accumulates. Not only it's not in your body for a week, or you're not gonna go to the bathroom the next day. It stays in your body for long periods of time, and I'm talking about years. Lead stays in your body for 30 years, specifically in your bones.
Yeah.
Mercury, methyl mercury stays in your body. It could be months, but if you have an issue with methylation and detoxing, if you have an issue with glutathione and all your natural antioxidants are actually meant to get rid of mercury, that's going to be in your system for a very long time, and specifically in your gut. Methyl mercury likes to accumulate in the gut. And then you have thallium that also becomes part of your bones. Cadmium is a huge issue, especially with cacao. When I was sourcing for my old company, that was everyone said get the cacao from Peru because it's the ceremonial cacao that everybody wants. And I was going to all these farms, but every time I would get the cacao tested, it would come with really, really high amounts of cadmium. It's an issue.
Wow.
So, and who are the number one consumers of chocolate? Our kids and women with, when we are on our periods. Us. And that stuff accumulates in the brain.
The reproduction. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's all this stuff that's unfortunately we're in an era where
contamination.
It's there's so much going on, and another stuff that is not tested is mold, and everybody links mold to coffee, and I'm glad that there's awareness of that, but all these powder products, if they're not properly dried, they also have high amounts of mold, like maca powder. Maca was I think it's a thing today. I think I remember 2 years ago where like it was
Used to be
the
cooler.
number one superfood, but there's an issue with mold, and mold really, stops your stops you from metabolizing oxygen.
Yeah.
And so now we're having a problem. And so that's why I tell people, look, the answer to everything is find a company that really cares about this, that tests every single batch. And you as a consumer have the right to ask these questions to this company. You're not going to be weird if you send an email. You have the right to ask, what are the different tests? Can you show me the paperwork? And where do you get your stuff from? And you have the right to ask, and then find a company, because if you're gonna be eating, my son loves chocolate milk, so I buy cacao, but I make sure that if we're gonna consume cacao every single day, I gotta make sure that it comes from a very well sourced, trusted company.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very, very important points there. And I think coming back to basics is a bit of the theme here, as well as the investigations, and I want to get into something else in a minute. But I think it's really important to keep that along the path of any health journey that we're looking at, is trying to really understand the fact that we're not trying to find it elsewhere where we could just bring those basics back. And then the quality it's just so important for us to be getting quality out of the things that we're consuming on our body, in our body, and around us, with those, the orbital things that you talk about, the relationships, and anything that is coming up against our fields. So super, super important. Now, before I move on to the children's books, I wanted to ask you, in your daily routine, I asked you this last time and it was fascinating. So every day now, what's your daily survival kit that you have to do or have or take to get you through your day to make sure that you're optimal?
I think one of the things that I've been doing lately is to get back into spirituality. And, I was so focused, really focused just a year ago, actually. If you would have talked to me, I was so focused in my body. What does my body need? And it's very, very important. But at the same time, focusing on something that brings you peace and quiet, and something that brings you, will help you reduce your stress levels, because we're all in this, this whole pandemic and all this stuff that's happening around us, it's really brought a lot of stress on people's lives. And so one of the things that I've been doing is, I've been getting into lucid dreaming, and I got into it accidentally. And I don't do it, most people do it during their sleep, but I feel like that's very disruptive, because you have to wake up at 4 a.m, and then you have to, it's a long process to learn, but you could do it during your naps. Yeah. So if you have an intention before you go to sleep, and have an intention to really remember your dreams, and do it, it's a practice, but if you do it every 50 minutes a day, it's actually healthy. There's a lot of studies that show that, napping is very, very helpful for the brain. So I've been getting a lot of amazing messages that have been very eye-opening, and very, they've been guiding me a lot. And so if you're into lucid dreaming, there's different herbs that I take. One of them is mugwort. Mugwort was used by the Chumash Indians in their ceremonies for sleep. And so, but specifically, it makes your dreams more recall. It's dream recall. So it allows you to remember your dreams. So it's part of, I found that getting into that world of spirituality I found that one of they call it dream yoga. So, to me, it has been very powerful. So I do that every day. And sometimes I don't get anything. I mean, I fall asleep without remembering any of my dreams. But a lot of the times I do, if you go to sleep with an intention and a question, then you'll most of the time, you'll get an answer. So I've been doing that lately. And one of the things that has been my Swiss Army knife, I don't really take supplements anymore, but the one that I do take is methylene blue.
Yeah.
Now, methylene blue comes from the indigo plant, and this indigo plant, it's really fascinating because this plant vibrates at 660 nanometers with the sun, and so with infrared, and so so taking methylene blue and then right away using red light or going outside in the sun, it will activate methylene blue, and it's really good. It's a really good it's everything really. It's a Swiss Army for everything. It's antifungal, antiviral, it's antibacterial. It's also a mitochondria elixir, so it regenerates mitochondria, and it also breaks down mitochondria that are faulty and recycles new mitochondria. And another thing that it does is it's an antidepressant. It's also oxygenates your blood, which I find is one of the number one issues in health right now. Most people don't know how to breathe properly, so we're having an issue with oxygenation. Yes, right. The one thing that
we breathe oxygen, but we can't get enough in.
Exactly. We can't break down properly. We can't break it down properly. And so, it also comes from like the way you're sitting, your posture. If you're stressed out, your oxygen levels are very low. And so, yeah, it oxygenates your blood. And it to me is fantastic. It's to me, it's my number one Swiss Army knife that I've been using a lot. But it's also the source that you get it from, because a lot of the times, again, it's hard to make it properly. And so I get it from a pharmacist that hand makes it. He makes really small batches. So if you guys are interested in getting methylene blue, it comes in he sends it to you in a vial, and you just put a few drops in water, and then don't be scared because you're going to be peeing blue.
Little green.
Royal blue. And so, but it's great. And his name is Stefan Bajon. So I could also share his email. He's actually one of the number one researchers in methylene blue. So he knows a lot about this beautiful plant.
And I love the way you describe it. I'm going to snapshot that and put it up on the on the socials. Just the way that you make it sound for methylene blue. I always struggle to try and explain it to people. It's a beautiful description.
Yeah, it's a beautiful antioxidant. I mean, there's so much research about it. And the reason why it's not mainstream is because pharmaceutical companies cannot make money from it. So there's not much money you could make from methylene blue. And so it's not really out there, but it's really, I've heard so many stories. I had a friend who had herpes, and he says, look, he's the one that referred me to Stefan. He's like, I for 20 years, I've been taking methylene blue, and my herpes is gone, eradicated it's no longer like I get tested and it's no longer there. So a lot of these there's a lot of hospitals or a lot of places, especially in Europe, in Germany, they use methylene blue. So when you donate blood, they use it in blood banks. When you donate blood, they'll inject methylene blue into the blood, and then they run it through UV light, or I think the UV lights, to be able to clean it out. So it was used in the 50s for malaria. That was one of the uses before, but it's more than that. It's more than that.
I did not know that about the blood donations. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's great for viruses. It
Mm,
deactivates viruses right away. And there's a lot of studies that came out with for COVID as well.
yeah,
Methylene Blue is very effective at deactivating it.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, we've been getting into it a lot more here. Lots more, a lot of blue tongues. Hence, yeah, there's
Yes,
benefit.
prescriptions. Yeah, there's another company that has methylene blue, and it's fun because it's a nice. I call it an icebreaker because
It
you
is.
put this troche in your mouth, and then it turns your mouth blue, and then you go out, and people are like, "Why is your mouth blue?" Oh, let me tell you about methylene
Yeah,
blue.
excuse for education, right?
Yes. So it's, I mean, there's no shame in walking around with a blue tongue. I love it because I get to teach people. I love teaching.
Yeah, yeah,
So
me
it's
too.
like, let me tell you about it.
Yeah, and when anyone's naughty to you, just poke your tongue at them, and they get shocked, and they takes them back.
Yeah, and then most people I think most people that ask me about it end up trying it, and
Yeah,
yeah, because people are curious.
absolutely. Yeah, we're getting it more out here in Australia. So anyone listening, it'll be coming here in droves soonish. But still, it's very, very little and very little known here. So America's definitely leading the way there. Um,
I hope it grows into something more bigger and more people know about it. But it's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it will. I think we're only at the beginning with that one. So before we run out of time, I really want to talk to you about your books. So you've got
Yes,
Various Waste of Time. Is it Zeusy the Blue Troll?
yes.
Talking about methylene blue. And How to Become a Unicorn. How did you come up
Yeah.
with these fantastic ideas for children's books? And explain to the audience a little bit about what each of them is about.
Yeah, so I started writing children's books because when I had my baby shower, I was horrified. I asked my friends, like, don't buy me anything, just bring books.
Yeah.
And I was horrified by the classic books that are out there. Specifically, the one that made me cringe was Curious George. And I mean, it's a beloved book in the whole world. But if you really think about like the story behind Curious George, it's kind of horrible. This monkey that was in the jungle, curious and living its own life, and then gets abducted by this guy with a yellow hat, and then gets taken to the city, and then he gets in trouble for being himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's like, no, stop doing that.
All
No, no, no,
right.
no, no, no,
You're so
no,
right.
no. And then all of us at the end of the story, he gets taken to a zoo, and I'm like, this is terrible. So we're telling kids that it's okay to take nature and then basically try to really really break down, make the animal into a human, and then it's just the wrong story in every
Yeah.
single way.
Yeah.
It basically tells you you're not allowed to be yourself.
Yes. Yeah. You're so
And
right there.
so it drove me crazy. And so I wrote this. My first book was Zuzi the Blue Troll, and I was trying to tell my son, look, we don't take things. We as humans, we are we're taught that it's okay to take things and make it ours. And I was telling him, look, love is not about possession. We
Mm,
don't possess things.
mm,
Love is about appreciation. And so it's about a troll that goes around and loves flowers. So takes all the flowers from the garden and sees a beautiful bird and puts it in a cage next to the window. And all of a sudden, all the butterflies were gone because there were no more flowers. And the bird stopped singing because it was sad, and the flowers died. And so it's like, no, you just don't take that. Don't take things just to make you, those things are not going to make you happy if you possess them. Let them be as they are and appreciate them.
love it.
That is the message
Really.
for Zuzi. And so my other one was How to Become a Unicorn. And that one was really close to my heart because I see a lot of people trying, and I'm guilty of that. When I started my health journey, I was looking for, what is that celebrity, or what is that guru, or what is that person that I want to become, that I want to follow, that I want to become. And I was looking for that one doctor that was going to help me fix my health issues. I was looking for that person. And then I looked at myself, and I started really looking into my life, and I said, where was the point in my life where I was the happiest, where I felt free? And I started thinking, wow, it's like my 8-year-old self. That's when I was full of curiosity. And that's when I had the ability to go out there and explore and really ask, you know, as children, we are born scientists, right? It just gets slapped out of us by, you know, by society. We're like, stop, you're getting dirty, or no, don't touch that, or well, go wash your hands, right? And yeah, and so How to Become a Unicorn is about a zebra that wants to become a unicorn and does whatever it takes to paint its body, makes wings, and tries to really go around the world like, okay, I'm a unicorn now. I've become one of them. And at the end, there's a lightning storm, and he plunders into everything. All his costume is gone. And then he realizes, whoa, no, my heart is still glowing. I am glowing inside. I don't need to become anybody else.
You've given me shivers.
Imperfections,
so lovely.
are perfections. You are perfect as you are. Your humanity, you know, as humans, we are imperfect. And that's one of the things that most people don't, you know, don't realize, that we are imperfect, and our imperfections make us perfect. And so, yeah, that's one of the stories that I wanted to really put out there for kids, especially today. And then my last one is Perry's Waste of Time. So it's about this little monster that just lives inside of his screens. He's just missing out on nature and the world around him because he's so focused on his tablet, his phone, and everything around. This beautiful bird singing beautiful songs, and he doesn't notice. There's a beautiful rainbow, and he doesn't notice. And so the whole thing of the book is Perry never noticed. And so at the end, he realizes his phone breaks, and he starts to realize the world around him, and he goes and explores beyond his world. And so it's a thing in my house where if I'm on my phone, my son is like, "You're being a Perry." He's only 6 years old. So I'm like, yes, the book is working. He's like, or sometimes we're both on our tablets, and he's like, are we being Perrys right now? I'm like, yes, we are. Let's put our phones down.
Yeah. Oh, that is magical. I love it. I can't, where can people find your books? Is it Amazon?
Yes, I self-publish my books on Amazon. I illustrate and self-publish them, so you could find them on Amazon. Yeah. And I have another one coming that I'm coming out in a few weeks, and that's one of the final of my series of how-tos. It's gonna be how to become a ninja.
Oh, love it! Yay! All right, I'll have to order all 4 and get them sent at the same time. My kids are going to love love them. I've shown them the covers, and I've shown them your videos, and so yeah, I'm super excited.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right, so I don't keep you for too long. Last words, last thoughts, anything you really want to get out there at the moment, and sort of where are you headed next? Tell me a little bit about a sneak peek of what it looks like for Ingrid's next few months.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, I really wanted to bring this up because I've been thinking about this actually for the past 2 weeks. When people get diagnosed with something, that becomes part of their personality. And I want to tell people, if you are diagnosed with Lyme's, diagnosed with Crohn's, most of the time you're being told that there's no way out, and this is you, that's you, and you can't do this in the future, and it's something that you're going to live with for the rest of your life. So you're basically right on the spot being put into a little cubicle, and you have a very low ceiling. And so I want to tell people that do not buy into that, because your disease doesn't make you. It's not part of your identity. And if you allow and trust the body, because the body is so magical, if you allow the body to heal, it would heal. But we have to get rid of those mindsets where like, okay, this is me and this is who I am for the rest of my life. And that is not the way we heal. And so that's one of the things I learned when it came to Crohn's, when I was told, hey, look, this is something that you're going to live with the rest of my life. I really believed that for a while. And I
Mm.
was taking all the pharmaceuticals and I was taking everything that was prescribed to me. And it got to the point where like, no, this is not me. And I'm going to prove you wrong.
Mm.
And I'm not going to have this disease be part of my identity and be part of me.
Yeah.
Because we could use that as, I mean, I see a lot of people use that as an excuse of, well, I can't do this because I have this. It's like, no, get out of that mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100%
Your body,
agree with you.
Your liver is the most genius biochemist that you will ever meet in your entire life.
Yeah, absolutely. You should make a book about that. That's incredible because I love the liver.
I love it's an organ that is not really talked about, right?
Oh,
It's like no one really talks about the liver. There's not book. I swear, I scrambled Amazon looking for liver books. There's one book with this one doctor, but it's like he's a medium and he talks about like, oh, you know, the spirits told me that this. I'm like, no.
Yes, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
That doctor. Yeah. No. You know, I want a book that really like paints what magical work the liver does for us.
Yeah.
Because people say like, oh, it's a filter. No, it's not a freaking filter. It's more than that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of the only organs that's able to fully regenerate.
Yep, the only one.
And it's also I've read a lot of people that have gotten liver transplants where like their personality completely changes.
Wow.
And they become the person that, you know, used to host that liver.
Oh.
So there's something more than that. It has an incredible memory. So all these cravings that you get is the liver remembering the nutrients that you put in your body and telling you, hey, we need this.
Yeah, such an interesting perspective. I love that. Wow. All right. So what else have we got coming up? And where people find you? Where can they go to see? Obviously, books, Amazon. Anywhere else that you're sort of putting?
Yeah, right now they could follow me on Instagram. I'm really putting I'm putting a new website very soon where people can find all my books and everything that I'm into. Next is I really love writing and storytelling and so I have besides the How to Become a Ninja, I'm working on I'm very passionate about water, and so like the different therapies. Therapeutic ways that you could use water to heal, because it's one of the most important nutrients that get overseen, and it's not really well studied. Like we don't know much about water, which is the saddest thing. We don't know. And so, but it's I'm putting together all these different therapies that you could use with water, and how could people incorporate them into their lives, because water is life. And so just imagine it's something, and we are water. We're more than 75% water. So if you could just change one thing, it would be the quality of water, because the quality of water could change 75% of your matrix. Think about that. You're 75% water. So by the time I consume this bottle, within 5 minutes, it starts running through my veins within 5 minutes. So just imagine you have the right type of water, the magical things that you can do.
Incredible. I think that's a fantastic finish. Thank you so much for all your amazing knowledge, wisdom, passion, and everything you're doing out in the world. And it's very vast at the moment. I love it. It's so exciting. And thank you so much for your time today. And it was a pleasure to talk to you again, Ingrid.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy talking to you.
And maybe I think this was a prequel to your sequel last time.
Yeah.
How you ended up at the Crohn's, and then next time we can do a part 3 to see where you've come from there. Very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's after this podcast comes out, then I could be able to be like, okay, well, I talked about this, but now let's expand on this. Maybe you guys could help me sleuth more.
Or become private investigators. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Bye-bye.